Hi, welcome back to another lesson on your EPA partnership program. And today we are going to dive into one of my favorite traits. I know I say it about a lot of traits, but determination is for me one of the key traits. Maybe because in 2016, when I took my first EPA test, determination was super low. I had a bit of a doormat dynamic. I used to help out everybody, not ask for help, not assert what I felt, what I wanted, assert my boundaries. So I was kind of everybody's doormat, including my clients. And this for me was a super important trait, behavior trait to work on and improve. So let's dive right in. And it's the second red column right in the middle of your graph. We are still moving through our main traits at the moment. And what does this beautiful trait show us? This trait measures self-assurance, the expression of our ideas in an authoritative or authoritarian manner. It also shows our goal orientation. It shows our pragmatism and our assertiveness. Obviously, it depends on the emotional responsibility and emotional self-awareness of the person who has this trait. A very high determination trait in someone who is very unaware of their emotions and the emotional impact they have on others can have a T-Rex effect, which we'll look at a little bit later. So it can be assertive or authoritarian depending on the level of self-awareness and emotional responsibility that the person carries. Determination shows determination, meaning the ability to ask and convince others towards decided goals. It's that perseverance towards the goal. A person with a high trait will tend to close things quickly to get results. And they will also have the ability to synthesize and be assertive. Someone with low trait will tend to be very talkative, very verbose, use many sentences to say something that someone with a high trait would say in one sentence. Obviously, someone with a high trait and low emotional awareness will tend to be direct and abrasive. Someone with high emotional awareness and a high determination trait will tend to be assertive and impactful and a perfect guide towards desired results. Someone with high emotional awareness and low trait will tend to put everybody else before themselves, will tend to aim to please instead of honoring and pleasing themselves, will tend to go after everybody else's goals rather than their own. Let's look at some other correlations with other traits. If determination is much higher than dynamism, which we've seen in the previous lesson, the person tends to move like a sniper, slowly but extremely precisely and accurately, because they know what they're pointing at, they know what their objective is, they know what the goal is, and they will take their time, but they will get there. If determination is much lower than dynamism, the person is busy, but not productive because they're not moving clearly towards a goal. They're not using their communication to get them closer to that goal. If determination is high and understanding and empathy low, the green columns, care must be taken to avoid communication that is too direct and rough and abrasive. If self-discipline is much higher than determination, the person asks weakly, doesn't obtain results, and ends up doing things themselves. It is quicker if I do it. In truth, it isn't quicker if you do it in the medium or long term. It's just that you are not able to ask that it should be done, how it should be done, and by when it should be done. So it is a communication problem, it is an assertiveness problem, and in the test, it is a determination problem. So if dynamism is the person's starter motor that determines our speed, determination is their weapon. Because this trait indicates the drive, the strength, the grit that a person puts into action to achieve the results that they desire. So it's the force behind the action and the words that brings us closer to our desired goals. The T-Rex effect, here we are. This trait, when it is high, measures aggressiveness. So the drive to achieve results, conviction, and the strength that a person puts into achieving goals and facing problems. And this is all good. But people with very high trait scores are like baby T-Rexes. Often they're unaware of their strength and the impact that this great assertiveness has on others. So we must also read their emotional responsibility and emotional self-awareness. People with very low traits tend to be accommodating, people pleasers. They find it very difficult to influence others and are swept up in other people's wills, other people's desired goals, other people's agendas. With low understanding, centrality, or belief traits at 0 and below, high determination can degenerate into aggression. If it is low, it can become strong criticism and hidden hostility or explode suddenly into anger. Now, we will dive into these interactions between traits during our second module dedicated to interpretation, but also in our Q&A. Okay, because when you have high determination, you must always check, how are the green columns doing? So does the person also have empathy? Does the person also have understanding? What does the self-motivation look like? Are they really, really full of themselves and self-assured? Or is that balanced? So you must check that, because the T-Rex effect links all those traits together. No worries. If you're hearing this for the first time, take it easy, and we will dive into it in our Q&A and in the second module.